What's up, Touche? What's up, dude?
Cripper the Ripper.
We are going live on Quality Time on Twitch, talking crazy.
Peace. Say peace. And then
No, it's
leave.
not. All right. See you guys. We're on Twitch. Go jump over on Twitch. KO_Koala_ENT, just like Instagram. You can swipe up on the story. Swipe up. That looks probably way more stupid on the Twitch.
That looked
All
really
right,
dumb. That
All right.
looked
really cool.
It's gonna be really good for the intro.
Does it look as good as this
oh
frame
no!
Yeah. Hello.
Just hold that shit up for the podcast.
Shit, I lost it.
No, I said what I wanted about mods links. I said we don't need any right now, but when we need another, then you will be in high consideration.
You don't need to. Okay, I am ready. Let's do it.
Don't tell me to ignore links, Anthony. Just like you ignored him in Koalatea 10.
No, you'll see. Pay attention to him, and you'll see why you should ignore him.
Wow. Savage.
Trollman Potter.
Porter? Harry Potter? All right. You ready?
I'm ready.
Are you going to pay attention? What's up, sir, to me?
First.
Do you have your Audacity open?
Audacity's open.
Are you ready to record?
Recording. Twitch chat is up. Let's do it.
No training clips. Get that shit out of here. Unless you beat the flip reset world record.
Yeah, world records. Okay, guys.
All right. I'm going to start the intro.
Do it.
Are you ready to be cued? You paying attention?
Wait, your intro this time.
Oh. Well, then just wait till I say, I'm Skylar Sokol.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm Skylar Sokol.
We should do a whole one in British accent.
Oh, my God. Dedicate it to Lynx, the Minx Potter. All right.
Like when game devs use this technique to make the game more interesting. No, you're not, Lynx. It's another way of being loved.
We should record a diss track for Lynx.
I'm on it.
All right, here we go.
This is Steve Downs, the voice of Master Chief, Spartan 117. Welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. Anthony and Skylar will take it from here. Master Chief, out.
Hello and welcome to Quality Time, the KO Koala Entertainment Podcast. I'm Skylar Sokol.
Now I'm Anthony Nicolosi.
And we're here today, moving on to a new topic. We covered FPSs last time. Maybe we'll do some more genre podcasts like that at some point. I really like those. Those are fun, just going over a genre.
I have to play different kinds of games.
Yeah, Anthony needs to play more than just FPSs for us to do that, but maybe he will someday. But this week...
Metroidvania? I could do that.
Hell yeah, that would be good. There's a ton that I want you to play anyway. So this week, we're going to be talking about a interesting game design topic. And that topic is triangularity, Anthony.
Yep.
You want to tell the people what that is?
Well, one more time for those in back.
For those at home?
Jesse Schell is awesome. Jesse Schell is the author of The Art of Game Design, a Book of Lenses, a book that heavily inspires a lot of the topics on the podcast, including this one, Triangularity. And I think all you need to say about it, to sum up, it's when games put the player in a position where you have a high risk, high reward option and a low risk, low reward option. And that generally it's a great way to spice things up in the game, right?
Yeah, it's a good example. A quick, easy example of it would be something like the final Smash Ball in Super Smash Bros. I think that's a common one that people would understand. Basically, right? The Smash Ball's moving all around. You either continue fighting your opponent trying to get him, or you can go for that Smash Ball, and if you get it, then you get your final Smash, and it's a really powerful attack. Also, with the introduction of the fake Smash Ball in New Smash Bros., that makes it even more triangular.
That's true. That's true. An additional spice, you may say. Some ancho chili on that thing.
Oh, I love me some ancho chili.
Yeah.
So anyway, so what do you have a quote for Triangularity for us from our boy Jesse that we can inspire us?
I probably could in a sec here, but the the example of the Super Smash, what's it called? The Final Smash Ball?
The Final Smash Ball, yeah.
That's a great example, like you said, because a lot of people understand it. You take the risk of exposing yourself generally, right? Because that thing like floats around and stuff. You expose yourself in battle to potentially get that power up, right? And for some characters, it's a better power up than others, right?
True.
Like,
unfortunately, poor Mr. Game and Watch.
I was just gonna say I love Mr. Game and Watch.
His is objectively one of the worst in the game. Only not the worst because Jigglypuff's is the worst.
Why? Because you can't control it?
It just doesn't do shit. Yeah, it's bad.
The big ass squid?
Yeah, Zelda's literally just kills people. Like, you don't have to do anything. It sucks people in and kills them if they're over 100%. They're just dead instantly.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the other ones like require some amount of proximity towards other characters to like initiate or whatever. But that's a situation that adds attention, that adds some excitement to the battle.
Yeah, our boy Lynx Potter live on Twitch giving us another great example of Triangularity that I actually hadn't thought of. Battle Royale drop areas. Specifically, he mentioned Tilted Towers versus Lonely Lodge in Fortnite. This is like a huge theme of Triangularity, right? You drop in the hot area where there's better loot, high risk, high reward, or you drop in the low chill area where you can get some mediocre loot, but then you're not at risk of dying. That's a great example of Triangularity.
Yeah, another one. We have a lot of Rocket League guys today. It was a big Rocket League day. Koala number 10 dropping. Big video. Wherever you're listening, you should go check it out. It's like highlight reel of all of the Koalas so
check
far.
It out on our YouTube, Koala.
On our YouTube, on our Instagram TV,
Koala
Instagram TV.
NT.
Anyway, I think the boost management and boost mind games, that boost meta game that goes into play during games adds a bunch of dynamic Triangularity outside of other things. But you have those plays where you could rotate back and get boost, or you can kind of stay in the play with low boost and potentially give yourself an opportunity to capitalize on the play that's unfolding. Those kinds, Rocket League's full of moments like that, but that's an example where it really spices things up a bit. And I think some of the better players understand when to go for that reward, etc., more than others.
Sure, yeah. I think some of the decisions about going for aerials and going for specific balls add some Triangularity in Rocket League too. Generally in team-based multiplayer games, I can see Triangularity being a big thing as well, just in general with how you play with your team, whether you go lone wolf to try and get some kills or something, or if you're with your team, right? There's some Triangularity there to that kind of strategy, but I don't know. I think that's a little less exciting of an example than some of the things I have in mind. So, what are you thinking? What are you envisioning? Do you want to just go over some more examples and talk about how Triangularity works there, or do you have some specific topics you want to go over?
Yeah, I think we can do that. I mean the one that I also had in mind to round out Super Smash Rocket League easy examples is the moment to moment. I think it's one of the reasons why I like the Halo gameplay more so than other fast time to kill shooters, because the introduction of shields gives you more of these, similar to Rocket League, dynamic moments. I feel in the gunplay.
We're about to disagree thoroughly on this one, my dude.
Yeah, because you have decisions to make in regards to, do you push with the teammate for this kill? It depends. You're risking the fact that you might not know where that other player on the other team is in that position. But do you do that push? Do you cycle back and get your shields back up and make sure you don't die?
But this same thing exists in fast time to kill games too, but even more. The risk reward differential is even higher, because not only are you making that exact same decision, but you're making it and you're probably just going to die instantly if you fuck it up. And then the tension is even higher, I would say.
Yeah, but the difference is that you can fight with it. It's not definitive in a sense. This is the reason why I like it more, because I can go in with low shields, but I can out juke that guy.
Right, and you can do that in Valorant too, right? You can pre-fire them. You can jump peek to peek in a different way than they expect. You can use your abilities, right? I don't know. I think it's very very similar. I feel like if you played a fast time to kill shooter and like took enough time to get like good at it, you would probably like it a lot.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well, the shooters a Halo boy.
The shooters I've spent time with, I didn't super enjoy, but
which
if I don't
enjoy
it
enough
to put time, if I have to put time in to enjoy it in the first place, I don't like it. If that makes
that's
sense.
fair. And fast time to kill shooters are very punishing. So if you like, I could see how someone who's not like immediately good at it, not saying that you wouldn't be, but someone who is, who just dies a lot, like we talked about in previous podcasts, would just churn immediately. So even though the triangularity is there, once you're at a specific skill level, maybe it doesn't come into play until later. Whereas in Halo, it's like always there. So maybe it's a consistency thing of this triangularity existing.
Not sure. We will, as Halo Infinite gets closer, I'm going to have a fuck ton of stuff. I'll think a little bit more about Halo, have some examples. But yeah, these moment to moment situations that it's interesting where a lot of our favorite games, it's like triangularity options are coming to mind quite easily, right? So like maybe there's it's interesting in the book himself. Jesse Schell calls out, once you start looking for triangularity in games, you're going to find it everywhere. A dull, monotonous game can quickly become exciting and rewarding when you add a dash of it.
So a clean, really simple example of that, and a lot of platformers have this, but Celeste, one of the recent very, very good platformers, has these strawberries that are like secrets in the levels. You can see them though, and they're just harder to get. So you can make the risk to go up this hard platforming path to get the strawberry, to get this reward eventually, or you could just go through the level normally, right? Like secrets and like hard to reach stuff like lives in Mega Man, there were always the big heads of like Mega Man heads that were lives that were always harder to get, right? These like hard to get power-ups are a great triangularity example that shows up in tons of games.
Yeah. Halo and a lot of other shooters with power-ups, like on the thing of power-ups, like you have them in certain points in the map that really create like control choke. It dictates in a lot of way the strategies and movement around the map, right? So
yeah, another game with great triangularity that I love, Super Monkey Ball. I haven't talked about that in a while.
Where's the triangularity there in regards to?
So the triangularity is in your decisions on how to approach the level, right? Because there's you can either go the normal path down the level, or there's places where you can like jump over a gap or like fall down in a weird way or like try and cut corners. I think racing games have a similar level of triangularity, like Mario Kart with shortcuts where you have to take a risky turn to get to the shortcut, but then if you make it, you can go. This is very similar to how I feel about Super Monkey Ball, right? There are like shortcuts you can take that could be really intense.
Okay, I guess maybe just that one time you came over and you were showing some levels. It was probably because it was like an intro level or something, but like it seemed like that it was kind of, there's more or less like a way to beat it.
Yeah, no, there are later levels that are definitely not that way, that there are lots of ways to beat them.
Cool. We touched on this a little bit ourselves outside of the podcast, but now it's time to bring it in here. QuickTime events. What do you think about QuickTime? So I initially posed to Skylar. I was telling him, QuickTime events kind of rob you of the opportunity to introduce triangularity, because I had the QuickTime events. The example I was thinking was, Skylar's recent playthrough of Sayanora Wildhearts, where there's these moments where it's QuickTime event is really just a timing event. So I was like, well, what's the high risk, low reward kind of a thing? I know in some games there's a situation where it's like, well, you can hit that timing more precisely and like maybe get a bonus from hitting it better or something.
But hitting it, but there's no risk reward to that timing thing. That's what I was going to say. Yeah, I think rhythm games, ironically enough, are one of the worst examples of triangularity in general. Like most rhythm games have basically zero triangularity. At least some of the less modern ones. Some of the more modern ones do have some triangularity where you can like do riskier things with your rhythm when you have choices. But like straight up DDR, zero triangularity, right? And
you just need to nail it.
Right. It's way more about like optimizing, like perfecting a skill than it is about making a decision. Which is interesting, right? It hits a different niche than this triangularity niche. But I do think there are QuickTime events that do exist that have triangularity, and those are QuickTime events that do give you a meaningful choice.
Okay.
There are some.
Do you have an example?
Well, so I don't think there are that many, honestly. I don't think this is done that often. We mentioned the Gears of War one earlier, and when we were talking, and I think it has a tiny amount of triangularity, but not much, right? Like the Gears of War one, if people don't know, basically you can get a timing that reloads your gun way faster, or like moderately faster, or the normal speed, basically. Or bad. Can you do bad where it's longer?
Yeah, you can do bad. You can fuck it up. And
So potentially, like if you're in an intense situation, making the decision to try and not time it so that you get the guaranteed okay one is potentially an instance of triangularity, but I think it's pretty minimal. But
yeah, it's kind of a stretch.
Spy Party has one of the like best instances of triangularity. I think that whole game is honestly like a game of triangularity because you're making decisions about what missions to go for, whether you want to go for riskier missions, but you think the sniper might expect them less because they think, oh, he's going to go for the harder missions because why wouldn't he?
What do you mean go for a mission? Can you explain that again for us non-spy partiers?
For the spy is to complete a set of missions that the AI would not normally do. Those missions include inspecting statues, which is just standing at a statue and looking at it for an abnormally long amount of time multiple times. But they also include really blatant things like swapping a statue to a different statue or pulling a book out of a bookshelf and moving it to a different colored bookshelf. These are way more obvious things. So decide what mission is an instance of triangularity. But then when you perform a mission, you almost always do a QuickTime event. And those QuickTime events are a big red bar and then a smaller white bar and a tiny green bar. And in general, at least in initial players would probably think that the green is the best always. And in a lot of situations, it's really, really good. But there are actually strategies that involve using the red and the white to accomplish different things because the visual like thing that happens in the mission, for example, when you're swapping statues, if you get the white, it just does a like slowly timed swap. If you get the green, you just put the statue down and then the next AI that comes to that statue swaps it. And then the red swaps it in like a bad way where it flashes a bunch, but it swaps it right away. So the crazy thing you can do is that if you do the green, when the AI comes over, they will instantly swap the statue the second they pick it up, which is not something you can do normally with white or green. So it's kind of obvious if you're watching it. But with a red swap, you can immediately do a red swap, and it can look like the AI swap. You're an AI who swapped the statue. So there's like layers and layers of depth here and risk reward triangularity. In that game. So
very cool. You know, as you're saying, there's layers and layers. Lynx Potter and TV Gaming in the Twitch chat right now are calling out Fortnite examples.
And I think these actually extend to pretty much all battle royale shooters.
I was gonna say, they're talking about the dynamics of healing. You know, when a player goes down, what do you do? You know, a lot of times, like the better players will make sure that the coast is clear right before healing a teammate, but sometimes it's not comfortable. Like that decision is not a comfortable one.
Yeah, you're trying to decide between whether you try and heal your teammate really quick before the guy pushes you, or you like try and defend them first.
Yep.
Because the reward of getting your teammate up is extremely high, but the risk is also extremely high because you're completely vulnerable, hence triangularity. Yeah.
And, you know, I think that part of the reason, like I said, battle royales aren't my thing, but when I do play, those moments where you're sort of deciding how you want to maneuver around the map, where you want to go, and the decisions you kind of make as you move into areas, if that makes sense, right? There's like maybe like in PUBG, like a sort of little town thing, or in Fortnite, an area, whatever. You definitely have instances of triangularity there too. It's like, well, I would probably have a better angle on whoever's here, if somebody's here, if I push up this building or whatever, but I could just duck into cover here, but then I'm exposed here. So I think that just adds to some of the excitement that battle royales have going on top of that element of their level design, if you will.
Totally. Yeah. Another example is like care packages that drop in battle royales, where like everyone around can see the care package drop, but so you can either decide to go for the care package because it could have a really good item, but you also know you're going to be exposed. There's another like triangularity, and yeah, battle royale is actually full of it, and maybe that explains one of the reasons why they're so popular.
Right. It's got it has these the recipe for excitement baked all throughout it.
Totally.
There's an idle game that has triangularity that I think like I want to touch on real quick. That's actually pretty cool. It's ours. So I don't think we necessarily had triangularity literally in mind when we added innovation sprints to Agora, right? We wanted to add it's honestly kind of like Jesse said, we want to add something that was a little exciting. By the way it works by default for those who don't play is like you run the research command and you, like a standard idle game, increase your research currency at some constant rate. Yeah. Innovation sprints introduce this thing where you wager a percentage of your research total or your currency total for some amount of return back that ranges from a negative return to like a significantly positive return.
Right. That's even higher than the research you could gain over the time you would spend to do that sprint. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, we do see a lot of people. It's interesting. We see a lot of people sprinting also high totals, right? Like the max amount that they can sprint. I mean, there's the lure of the high risk, right? Like, or I'm sorry, the high reward of like the getting the big multiple back. But there's definitely plenty of examples of people not getting positive returns as well.
I mean, it's interesting, right? Like triangularity sort of plays off just the general human like desire to do these high risk, high reward things. Like it just makes me think about gambling, right? Like the like instinctual desire to do like these gambling things where you could get a big reward but you're risking a lot is like the core of triangularity. Triangularity just adds another option so that you're not forced into either one. You can make the decision that's right for you, which is cool, right? I really like that.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of another style of game that could have triangularity. I mean, does Ori have triangularity? How do you feel about that?
I think it does. I mean, because I think there's a lot of times where you're traversing the levels, especially as you get more powers and stuff, where you are given the opportunity, like, okay, there's maybe an initial, because there's a lot of like replaying through spaces that you can do in Ori. So maybe the initial way either to unlock items or get some powers or whatever. So you'll have situations where like let's say the default initial way of going had like the design was with platforms, like whatever, little rock ledges that you jumped up. But when you come back, sometimes you'll get to a point where you like have to use a new power that you have. But prior to that, you have examples of like, well, now that enemy that before was shooting a projectile and at that point was sort of just a one-dimensional, like avoid the projectile and survive kind of an encounter. Now it's, I can leverage the projectile to leap my way to a new spot or something.
So I'm struggling to see that this is triangularity, though. I'm not sure this is. And this is actually your discussion right there, I think, basically convinced me that game does not have triangularity, I don't think.
Okay, let's hear your reasoning.
I just don't think, like, there's not a high risk, high reward thing that you're being encouraged to do. Yeah, you can use your abilities to get through areas faster, but that's not like, that's nothing. That's not triangularity. There's not a mechanic introducing triangularity there. The reward is only going through quicker. It's not like giving you any real reward in the game.
I don't know. I think in some of the situations where you have to execute that mechanic to leverage it, you expose yourself.
But that's not triangularity, right? Because you have to do it. There's no choice. To get to the area, you have to do it.
Spaces. No, yeah. I'm not talking about those places. Like there's places where as you go back, like you have to use your power to.
And there are other areas where you could to go faster, but there's no actual reward for doing it, but going faster.
But going faster.
But that's not triangularity.
By going faster or by killing more people.
Yeah, I don't buy it.
Well, you're objectively wrong. He has a happy
There's just
reward.
way more obvious intentional instances of triangularity to the point where I'm not going to like hand out a triangularity freebie to a place where it doesn't exist. You know, like the Celeste strawberries, for example, right? Like if there was a secret you could get only by doing some high risk thing in Ori, then sure, and that may exist. But like that would be an example of triangularity to me. But just like being able to use your abilities the right way to do shit, like you're going to do that anyway. That's not triangularity.
Well, I don't know if it's the right way. It's like you can use them that way.
Right.
I think when you move back through the spaces, there's examples of that.
All right. We can agree to disagree. I love Ori, but no triangularity there for me.
Yeah. How about board games? Do you have some good examples of board games with good examples of triangularity?
I mean, so this is like getting back to that gambling idea, right? Like any game that has an element of randomness or luck will have triangularity just by inherently, right? Because you decide if you have like multiple options, right? Like I can decide in blackjack to hit again or stay, right? And that is in a sense triangularity, right? Because either I'm risking to get a higher value, but I could also bust, or I can just be chill and hope that something bad happens to someone else, right? And not take the risk. So I think a lot of games exist with that aspect in it. But and there's a whole genre of board games called push your luck board games, which exist, which are like take advantage of this concept, right? Like, do you want to keep going? You can keep getting more loot, but if you bust, you lose it all, right? And this happens in video games too. There are examples of that, and that's some interesting triangularity. That's very much the innovation sprint triangularity like strategy, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we have links literally saying he got a 230% gain one time from a sprint. So, almost over 3 times as good as what he put in, and a 20% gain
right
one time.
So even in non-push your luck games, though, I think we can find triangularity in games that are just like that. Even in a full information game like chess, as TV Gaming mentions, I think that we could find triangularity there because you can always, in a game where you have the opportunity to outsmart your opponent, go for like a bluff move, like a move that is not the optimal move, but if your opponent fucks up in response to your move, you get a huge benefit. But if they don't, it's worse for you than if you had just gone with the safe move, right? You can always make risky moves in these games that could give you higher benefit rather than taking the safe path.
Yeah.
I've actually been playing a lot of chess lately, so straight at my heart. TV Gaming and I are going to have a one-on-one chess stream sometime.
I used to play, me and Brittany used to play chess, like the online chess, and you had like 24 hours to make a move.
Oh, the daily chess. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been playing the opposite of that, which is 1 minute chess, where you have 1 minute to complete all of your moves for the game, and if you run out of time, you lose.
This is going to inspire some other whole subsequent topic one day of like the characteristics of games, including play time and all of this stuff. We touched on it. But anyway, so yeah, I think the verdict is that as we start to think about some of our favorite games, it's easy to find examples of triangularity.
Except for rhythm games.
Except for rhythm games. Yeah, except for rhythm games. There's no, yeah, I guess not. Like how,
at least
like
classic rhythm games, right? Like DDR.
I'm trying to think, like how could you potentially even implement it? It'd almost be like there's like optional things,
right? Like extra notes you could hit, but you don't have to. But if you do, you get some benefit. Yeah. So, I think that covers triangularity in a nutshell. Where can people find us? Well, let me tell you. We can find you can find us at Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Twitch, KO_Koala_ENT. You find us in all those places. Not on Mixer though. Goodbye Mixer. We didn't talk about it, but goodbye Mixer. You can also find us on YouTube now and on Facebook. Search for KO Koala Entertainment. What's our YouTube link, Anthony?
The easiest way to find it is just at our website, kokoalaentertainment.com, and get the YouTube link.
There's also, in addition to that, you can find us on Discord. Tell them how to get there. Because
again, kokoalaentertainment.com is going to be your one-stop shop for all KO Koala stuff. You can get the Discord link. Because Discord verification stuff is still down, we can't just snap you a cool URL. You can also find it in the handle of, in the bio of our social media accounts like Twitter, Instagram at KO_Koala_ENT.
Yeah, I told them those. So if you're not watching this on YouTube, our podcasts are now uploaded on YouTube and also recorded live on Twitch. So you can come watch them on Twitch Mondays at 8:30 Eastern, or you can check them out on YouTube. You definitely should check this one out on YouTube and skip to right around now so you can see Anthony's goofy face that he made when he lagged out and I had to do the outro that I never have to do. So come check that out. And yeah, I guess we will see everyone next time. I don't know what the topic's going to be. I don't know if we're going to do a Triangularity part 2, but tune in next week to find out. I think some more genre ones would be interesting if I can get Anthony to play some of those games. So, yeah. Talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Goodbye.